Welcome to another episode of Cruising with the Clemens. Last week we were in Haines Junction, Yukon, Canada, and this week we're heading to Dawson City, Yukon. So come along and check it out. Welcome to Pelly Crossing Campground, our overnight stop. And do you see that? It's absolutely free to stay here. We even heard that there's few sites that have electricity to them. Right there on the river.
All right, well, we just got into the free campground, which is pretty cool.
We'll show you in a minute.
But man, the drive wasn't that long today, but it was the worst conditions we've had since we left the lower 48. I don't know that they were like frost heaves so much as just bad road conditions. There were some bumps and dips, and it was hard to tell, like when you're approaching, just how bad the stuff was going to be. A lot of it was marked, but a lot of it wasn't. So
Every once in a while, one snuck up on you.
yeah, I mean, overall, I think we were able to go pretty fast today. Like 90 to 100 kilometers, so like around 60 miles an hour for most of it. But I mean, the one I slowed down to maybe 5 miles an hour, and it was still really rough. So I guess as you get further up, it gets a little rough towards Dawson.
Even though the road conditions were the worst that we've experienced so far, we were like the only person on the road. So often Mark was able to just split the two lanes so he could avoid them altogether. Obviously in straightaways, not around curves. So that's kind of the benefit that we came when we did. There's not a lot of people on the road right now. So, all right. But in the meantime, let's check out this campground because it is totally free and there's wood by our campsite and we're on the river. Okay. So this is the Pelly River Campground. It is completely free and it is on the Pelly River. Which used to be a ferry crossing at some point, but you see they left like tons of wood here. And Mark's down by the river. They have nice picnic tables. And how were the bathrooms, Cooper?
They smelled great and they are new, and except the lighting, they're good.
And they were pretty empty, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Cooper came back and said the bathrooms were super clean. So you can go ahead and put a thing out. I can't say that the spots are very level, but it's free, so it's pretty nice. There's the bridge. And hey, how did our solar do today?
Solar did really well.
It's a lovely day, so we had sun most of the day.
Yeah, we were getting like 660 watts a lot of the day.
Really nice. They have quite a few spots here. You probably have limited spots for your larger vehicles. You already got bit? All right, despite our road conditions today, everything looks in pretty good order. We haven't opened the refrigerator, but the kids have a nice view out their back window of the river. Yeah, it's not bad. This is by far the hardest thing to deal with as we're heading through Canada and getting into Alaska. It's 10 o'clock at night. It is incredibly bright outside. Thank goodness for blackout shades, but it is really hard. I think we're all struggling with our bodies getting used to the sun still being very bright when we're trying to go to bed. Particularly kids, they go to bed around 9. 9:30, and at that time the sun was actually like blaring through our windows. So we try to close the blinds early to kind of get everybody in the mood, but it's just, I know we're heading towards 24 hours of sunlight, but it's a little wild and it's a little hard, but it's a beautiful scene right now. And there's this bridge. Yeah. All right, well, on that note, good night, everybody. I hope it's nice and dark where you are. Morning, everybody. We are getting ready to leave. Kind of just finished cleaning up the kids' room, so I'm going to put the bunk in. We had a restful night last night. Super quiet here at the campground. We're heading to Dawson City. We continue to have a mix of good and bad road conditions, but at this point we're thinking that's kind of par for the course. Some days it's really good, and then there's days like this. However, the one thing that we have learned, the views more than make up for the poor road conditions. This was the longest and worst stretch of construction that we had encountered yet. We followed this pilot car for about 15 minutes. And when we finally finished, the road conditions past the construction were even worse. Dan, one of the, I'm not sure if he's a manager or whatever at the campground, so nice. They don't open till 3 o'clock, but he came over and assigned us a site. And then he said just meet him back at 3 o'clock to check in, which I'm so grateful for because everybody's done, Mark and the kids. And so, yeah. So let's get us checked in here. Oh, these are tight. Oh, it's tight. All right.
We've made it to Dawson City. Our pull-through spot is a little bit weird because they've got the power kind of up front, but to get everything on the correct side, we're pulling our camper like all the way to the edge of our site here. But I think it'll work. We measured out the power cord and we can plug that in. So
we're in this campground because we need to dump our tanks, we need fresh water, everybody needs showers, I need to do laundry, so all those key things. So we're really just going to be here for the night, and then we will move across the Yukon River to one of the government campgrounds. So we're just gonna do some stuff and then hopefully we can walk around town a little bit too. Once we got settled, it was time for Mark and I to head out on a little adventure. Mark and I just visited the visitor center here in Dawson because we always hit the visitor center right away. But we're planning to move to a campground across the Yukon tomorrow, so we are gonna take the free ferry across to check it out. Yeah. The ferry ride is completely free, and it takes approximately 5 to 7 minutes to cross the Yukon River. During the summer season, it runs 24 hours a day. The staff on the ferry was great, and definitely gave us more confidence about bringing our camper on the ferry. So we're here checking out the campground, and we're looking for a couple of things. The best clear sky availability. A campsite that's gonna fit our length. So Mark is backing into campsites to check the length of things. And then not a total deal breaker, but if it's more level, then it's obviously better. But let's take a look at these sites real quick. These sites are right on the Yukon River. And it's pretty nice. Look, there's a pathway down right here. People left trash. And the kids will be down there with their muck boots on. And we are doing this today because we don't have the camper with us. The campground road itself is very, very full of potholes, so I'm glad that we're kind of scoping things out. Now, obviously, somebody can come in and take it before we get here tomorrow, but it's good to know. I'm writing down a list of possible sites. So, like any of the government campgrounds, free firewood, and there's actually pit toilets right across from this one, so that's a bonus.
All right, so we saw a lot of potential spots in that campground. It's $20 Canadian to park there, so that's like $14, $14.50 a night, which is really good. I think we found some spots that could work, but there's a lot of unknowns, and my biggest issue was sort of that there's only one road in and out of the campground. Like, we went around the loop, but the loop just kicked us back to the one road.
They've got another road that they've got closed right now.
Yeah, so if we're going out and someone else is coming in, I don't know what they do. Someone must have to pull into an empty spot, because there's not enough to get people to go past each other. There's just not enough roads. So with all that going on, it looked real swampy over there, super mosquito buggy. I think we're just going to stay in town, and then we can walk to everything.
Yeah, and we went, after going to the visitor center, we found a ton of stuff that we want to do. And so if we stay in the town, which obviously costs more, it was 79 Canadian dollars a night.
Yeah, so
but that's 30 amp full hookup.
Yeah, it's about $42 more expensive a night US to stay over there than it is over here.
But because, Mark has to work, so we have to take things into consideration, is he going to have good Starlink?
Yeah.
Another thing to think about over in this campground, it is very covered in trees, so that's a problem for the Starlink, but it's also a problem for our solar. We're not going to get good solar charge over there.
No, you're not going to get any solar charging over there. You're going to have to run generator.
I guess we're going to stay where we're at, so when we get back, we'll go back in the office and extend our stay. Today we're doing some walking tours. It is rainy, and we are going to go check out a couple of things, so come with us. Welcome to the visitor center. It's kind of a museum visitor center where you sign up for walking tours. They have videos, and it's also where you meet before you head out on your tours. Our first tour of the day was the SS Kino paddle boat. The SS Kino is a historic sternwheel paddle steamer, a symbol of the rich riverboat era in the Yukon. It was built in 1922 in Whitehorse and primarily used to transport ore. Because of its shallow draft, it was often the first one in the river and the last one out before winter arrived. We had an hour to kill in between our tours, so it was time for some ice cream. Next up was the walking history tour. This tour took us on an exploration of the historic downtown, visit some of the iconic landmarks, and learn how the Gold Rush era helped shape the town before and after. All right, so things that have been going on is what?
Well, Jen heard the inverter fan working pretty loudly. And normally we don't really hear the inverter working.
And it's 45 degrees out, so it definitely shouldn't have been hot.
And a couple hours ago, they were like, the fireplace won't turn on. And so I was like, we're just on 30 amp, that's the problem. But the fireplace doesn't turn on when we're not hooked up to power, because we don't have the fireplace hooked up to the inverter. So that should have been our first, hello. I just went and checked, and we let Bryce hook up the power cord. And you got to twist it after you got to push and twist and then lock it in place. It's happened a couple times with Cooper as well. So
they're learning.
And it seems like a really small thing. You're just it's maybe 5 degrees that you're turning it, and then it gets power. So now we're pumping 110 amps back into the battery, which is completely depleted, which is not something you're supposed to do with LiPo batteries. But we literally didn't know. So it's going to take 5-6 hours to charge back up probably. Because it'll start trickling back down when it gets close to being full. But yeah, we ran, what was that, a day and a half?
What time did we got in at
we've been running.
We got in at 12:45 yesterday.
We've been running the PlayStation. We've been running the microwave, the TV for like hours and hours, like we watched.
Everybody's been charging stuff. The
Yeah.
ice maker's going.
Yeah, we've had everything just going full tilt. So, I mean, overall, the system did really well. I just should have been alerted to the problems. There were warning signs that we didn't heed.
Uh-huh. And what should you tell all the other men out there?
Listen to your
What?
inner self. Don't listen to your wife. She doesn't know what she's talking
Oh
about.
my gosh. You're in so much trouble right now. All right, it is 8 o'clock after dinner. We are heading out to do some gold panning at the public free claim here in Dawson City. There's apparently like a guy who has a fairly successful claim, so he dumps dirt around the area so people can go out and dig while they're visiting the area. So we're gonna go check it out.
The drive out through the gold fields was actually really surprising to see how many claims are still being worked to this day.
So this is the free claim where you can come out and get stuff. And if you don't have your own panning stuff like we do, you can actually stop at the visitor center and they will loan you some. So this pile of dirt right here is where they dump the dirt that could potentially have some gold in it. And then you just head down to the creek and wash it out. It also helps if you have some muck boots. Finding anything, Daddy?
Tough to tell. Still got a long way to go.
Grace is over there. Tiny right there. There it is. Kennedy's getting some more from the dirt pile. Such a great activity because it's free and it's keeping the kids entertained. And Mark found like 2 or 3 pieces now, and Bryce has found a piece of gold too.
Found a couple pieces of gold. We're rich.
All right, so how do you feel after an hour of panning?
My back hurts. My legs and feet hurt.
And you got 4 tiny little pieces?
Yeah, I got 4 little pieces. They're in there. You can see them in there. They exist. We did it.
We're not rich.
You need like a microscope to really see them. But yeah, it just gives you an idea of how hard it would have been to do it. You can see why all this heavy equipment's here to process literally tons to get something worthwhile out of it, because we were here an hour and I got 4 little tiny specks. So, but it's fun.
On top of that, like, not only was it like hard work, but they like had to take so much to get here, and only like a few actually, you know, made out for it. So going over the Chilkoot Pass right there would have been my nope, it's not worth it. And then when all those guys finally got here, there was so many claims that had already been staked. Yeah. Anyway, good for the first guy who found it.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today. Join us on our next episode as we explore the number 4 dredge, take a tour of the Palace Grand Theater, check out a show at Diamond Tooth Gertie's, and decide to take a little tour up the Dempster Highway. If you liked the video today, don't forget to give us a thumbs up or leave us a comment. It really helps out. Thanks, guys.